Let's make pasta al pomodoro like a true Italian nonna. The tomato sauce or il sugo al pomodoro is one of the staples of the Italian cuisine, and it's surprisingly easy to make at home, so there's no point of you buying that stuff from the supermarket, which is full of rubbish. So for the ingredients you need fresh tomatoes. I have a selection of 3 different types, then depending on the season you can choose whichever are sweeter or available where you are. We need the carrot, onion, celery, of course some wonderful basil, salt, extra virgin olive oil. We're going to be using Holistico Black, the family, for the cooking, and then for the closing of the pasta we're going to use the Holistico Grand Cru. But if you are in the winter, of course canned tomatoes is a great substitute to fresh tomatoes, and this keeps you one step of what we're going to be doing today. And of course, because the pasta pomodoro goes with the spaghetti, we have some spaghetti from Armando. Armando uses all Italian grains and is a great quality pasta that you can find in the supermarket. The first step, once you've washed your tomatoes, is to prepare them. We slice them in half, and then in fourths, and we remove the excess seeds, so that we just have the meaty part of the tomato. And this is why also San Marzano tomatoes are often used for tomato sauce, because they naturally have very little seeds and are very meaty. So actually the waste from the tomatoes is very limited. And when it comes to tomato sauce, it's actually really fun to experiment with different types of tomatoes, because all of them, of course, have got a little bit of a different flavor. So depending on what you're going for, on what's available, it allows you to be a little bit more experimental. With cherry tomatoes, I usually like to use a spoon because it's much easier. Just put it in and pull it out. And once everything is done, this goes in the fire with a lid on, low heat, for at least half an hour. And then once they're really soft, we are just gonna blend them. There was also another step which we could have taken, but I think that once you blend it, you don't really need it, which is peeling the tomatoes. And that saves us a lot of time. After 30 minutes, you get something like this. If you have a passino, you can just put it there, and that will take away the skins from the rest of the sauce. Otherwise, you just use an immersion blender. And what you just made is homemade passata, which of course is step 1 of making a pasta tomato sauce. And now for step 2, we gotta make a sofrito, which we use, of course, carrots, celery, and onion. For proportion, I usually just do an even 1-to-1 carrots, onion, and celery. We will ultimately blend this as well, so it doesn't really matter how precise we try to cook this. And in fact, for the purpose of what we're doing, if you have a home blender, you can just shove everything in the blender as well, and that'll be fine. Probably the only thing to bear in mind that when you use the blender, they tend to be a little bit more watery, so they take a little bit longer when you first put them in oil in the pot. So if you can at all be bothered, cutting them is better. And today we're really doing the basic of Italian cooking. Sofrito, again, is the base of so many of the recipes. Sofrito, of course, is these 3 mixtures. And the tomato sauce, once it's done, it's like a canvas where you can create everything else. You can put sausage, you can put some guanciale, you can put some tuna, various type of fish, olive capers. Now, using the same pot, we can just move the passata here for the time being. And from now on, we're gonna keep building up the flavor. So, extra virgin olive oil. We're using Holistico Black, so the family cooking olive oil. Heating is on. And we get to start off with the sofrito. Everything goes in. Sofrito, 5 minutes, medium heat. Doesn't have to take long. We just want everything to soften and take flavor. And as the sofrito is going and this is still warm, in with the basil. Fantastic aromas. This, keep on turning it, we don't want it to burn. And the passata, so all the work we've done to create the passata is basically the same work that you avoid by using canned tomatoes. Canned tomatoes have already been pre-cooked for you. So the question is it worth doing all the stuff with the fresh tomato? And the answer is yes and no. It's not worth it throughout the whole year, except for the summer. In the summer, the tomatoes you can buy are super fresh and super flavorful. Then starting from scratch is totally worth it. And now that you have a nice soft sofrito, we add the passata. And we lower the heat. And this is when we add salt for the first time. So just an initial bit, because then as this cooks and the water evaporates, it becomes a lot more dense, a lot more flavorful. So we're gonna adjust for salt pretty much when we are done with our cooking. So now, low heat, lid on, and we wanna give this half an hour. So the sweetness in the tomato sauce is not like sometimes it's done in America, adding some sugar, but is by cooking the tomato that little bit longer, so the natural sweetness of the tomatoes goes into your sauce, which kind of takes 45 minutes. So we've done half an hour to cook them before, we're gonna do another half an hour here, we're gonna get to an hour. Of course, you know, if you got more time, just keep the heat low and let it go. It's just gonna become more and more dense. And then even if it's too dense, then you use cooking water to dilute it. At the end, you want a dense, flavorful sauce because that gives you a lot of options later on. We now remove the basil and we do one final blend. And our sugo is ready. While it's still hot, some basil. And now that you have the sugo, the right consistency is when you do the last check for how much salt you want to add. A couple of pinches of salt, mix. One last thing left to do is to cook the spaghetti and enjoy the whole thing together. When the pasta is in a rolling boil, and only when it's in a rolling boil, that's when you put the salt. You wait a few seconds until the salt melts. Take your mando pasta, and they go in. You can push them gently with your hand. This take 10 to 11 minutes to cook, so we're going to cook them to the lower end, so 10 minutes. Okay, now this is cooked. Just going to drain it and into our sugo. Always pasta into sauce and then mix it straight away. Otherwise it gets all sticky and gross. So you know, like the emoji of the white pasta and there's tomato sauce on top, that's just pasta death. So don't ever do that. So it's now time to plate it. Some more sauce on top and a little bit of basil. And this is our finished plate. So for the final touch, a little bit of extra virgin olive oil just on top. This should be your staple pasta sauce. Super easy, super quick, delicious. Every child in Italy has this taste as a fixed memory in their brain. Buon appetito.